Yo everyone, welcome to Amps, Pedals and Pickups. My name's Nathan and today we're going to be checking out this M-Vave chocolate wireless MIDI controller that I've been using with my NeuralDSP amp sims, STL Amphub, Helix native. As long as your software can take MIDI, you can use this thing and it's completely wireless. Normally you wait till the end of the video where they sting you and break the bank, but this thing is going for about 40 US bucks. You know what? I know a lot of you out there have owned it because I've seen these things flying out there in the wild, being connected to modelers and all different kinds of units. But yeah, I never thought to connect this to a PC to wirelessly engage with your plugins. So if you ever wanted some wireless functionality, something in this sort of form factor, stick through this video and I'll show you how I use it and how to get it all going. Alright, let's take a look at everything. So all this is pre-configured, it's all saved. I don't need to think about it. Whenever I open up my NeuralDSP plugins, I've done the hard yards. I just turn this thing on and start messing around with things. So NeuralDSP Soldano, that's the settings that I got going on there. Take a look at the foot switches. Now we'll take a look at how to set this up a little bit later, but the way that I've got it set up is just 4 single presses, quick presses, and then you've got 4 long presses. So effectively I've got 8 buttons with this thing. And for Soldano, because it's set up a little bit differently for every plugin, but for Soldano here, if I just do a long press, that's going to mimic these 4. So that's pretty cool. Get that chorus off there if I want to, have 2 overdrives going. Beast amp sim, super chunky stuff, but I'll turn that one off and you get the idea. The compressor's not going to make too much of a difference with a super heavy patch like this. Yeah, we'll leave the overdrive on. Check out the delay and reverb. So I've got the reverb mapped to this one. And the delay I've got mapped here. And this one here, I've actually got mapped to tap tempo. So if you look at there, it's 150 BPM. Get things going like that. Now I've actually got this first button here mapped to reverb and delay, because if you don't want to do that, you can just press this one and it's going to flick those off and on. And for me personally, that's just the simple sort of task that I wanted to do. I just want to be able to turn this thing on, chuck it on the floor. It's going to be a little bit hard to do the tap dancing, but if I want to play some metalcore stuff, this is some counterparts. Then later in the song, it's got the... Then you want to go, back to the... Of course, you don't need to play such aggressive music, but the whole concept of just having something quick and easy to throw down is super, super handy. And again, at the end of the day, this is all just MIDI stuff. So if I go down to the MIDI tab of NeuralDSP, this is the way that I've mapped everything. We'll take a look at the CC values once we go into the software for the Mvave chocolate thing here. But once you get it all going, they're just toggles for everything. That tap tempo was an action. And you can see there the CC0, that first switch, is for the reverb and delay. So that's how you set up that kind of thing. Pretty simple stuff once it's all going. So let's take a look at the Reamp plugin. Same sort of concept. I've just got everything mapped that sort of works for my brain. Not there, just in the tuner section. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff mapped a little bit differently because every plugin is going to have slightly different layouts. But yeah, one of the cool things with the Reamp plugin is there's a freeze feature on this pedal. So I've got my delay mapped there, my reverb mapped there, but for a long hold, it's going to do the freeze. So kick in the reverb. You know, as long as you're hitting the right notes, things are going to sound great. But yeah, really cool feature. And, you know I'm going to keep saying it, it's just a MIDI device, but, you know, taking these software pedals and sort of bringing them into the physical world via foot switches really just changes your mental approach. I almost like feel like I have these high quality pedals at my fingertips, my feet tips, my toe tips, because you can, you know, mess with this stuff in the tactile world. And you set this up with like STL tones. I've got a profile there for Amphub that I use for all the foot switches. Mercuriall. I've gone through all the different software just to get things going, and yeah, it's just mapped, just works every time. All right, so without going like too in depth on things, you're gonna get this thing out of the box, and when you press a button on there, it's gonna do some sort of MIDI command. I honestly can't remember what it's set to out of the box. So the first thing I want to do is I want to sort of hard code these buttons, and that way all my software will just, you know, rely on these buttons. Once I force the MIDI commands on this unit, I never have to plug it into my PC again. But for the first time, to use the app that comes with this, I think it's called Cubesuite, you just have to connect it via USB cable. You can use this thing via USB cable. If you're happy to leave it plugged in via USB, you don't need to set up any of the wireless stuff, but I only use the USB cable if I want to go in here and mess with the buttons. All right, so once you connect it, it's going to come up. I think the device is called Foot Control. Just click on that, and you're going to get into this sort of interface. There's so many different things you can do here. I'm not an expert. I messed around with heaps of this stuff for a couple of days until I sort of landed on this. So if you just want to use it the exact same way that I use it, where I can just do a single press on a button or a long press, if you're happy with that functionality, then that is what I got set up here. So yeah, the way I've got it set up is just expression pedal, advanced custom, and this step short or step long. So if we open this up, you've got the MIDI channel. There's obviously different MIDI channels you can use. I just stick to MIDI channel 1 for everything. There's different MIDI types. I just found sticking to CC sort of had the best compatibility across plugins. Again, there's so many different options with this stuff. You can, you know, if you want to change it, go for it. Now, data 1 is the CC note, like CC0, CC1, etc. So that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. And then for the holds, I did 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, you can change this stuff. I just stuck to the basics because I knew it was going to work. Now this data 2, I'm not 100% sure why. I initially set it to 0. I was getting some weird things with the toggling. I don't know. I just set it to 1. Seems to, again, work across the board. So once we go through everything, this data 1 is going to change, but pretty much all the other values are going to stay the same. So this is, you know, button 0. Then the second foot switch is CC1, CC2, and CC3. And if we take a look at the B banks, the long hold for the first button is going to be CC4, then 5, 6, and 7. Save it. That's pretty much all you need to do. I never ever need to touch this. The last time I touched this was a month ago. I'm only opening it now for this video. Don't need to touch it, and that's because I just know what the CC values are coming from this, and then I can, you know, do things in my software to adjust accordingly. All right, so if you're like me and you want to get things done wirelessly with this setup, then you're just going to need 2 more pieces of the puzzle. Again, I'm doing this on a PC. I'm sure there's Mac counterparts. I think both of these are available for Mac. Don't quote me on that. Again, Guitar School Live, he's probably going to have you covered with this stuff. So the 2 more pieces of the puzzle. The first one is Loop Midi. You just literally download Loop Midi, install it, leave it. It's up here on the screen. This is exactly what you should see. It just should look like that. You never have to touch it. When I'm using Reaper here. When I go into Reaper, the MIDI commands are going to come from this Loop Midi port. You know, I've got a keyboard here that's connected via USB. I can see MIDI coming in over this device. So Loop Midi is what Reaper is going to see, but then we need to feed loop MIDI this wireless information. The way we do that is this other app called Midi, and that is essentially taking your Bluetooth signal. All you do is you turn this one on, typical Bluetooth connection, just go into Windows that I've got here, just Bluetooth devices, pair it up. Again, it's called Foot Control, and then go into Midi. So the input we can see here is going to be this foot control in, and then the output, I'm going to feed it in to loop MIDI. And we can just test it's working by pressing buttons. And it's like, oh cool, it's reading the information and it's pushing it out to loop MIDI. And again, if we want to sanity check this stuff, we can go into loop MIDI and you can see the total data. You see that number going up and down? It just means data's flowing through these two things, and you're pretty much at a good stage to go now. All right, let's take a look at Reaper. If you're a Reaper user, then you can follow this exactly. If you're using Studio One, Cubase, anything else, then those things are going to be a little bit different, I'd imagine. But yeah, so normally I would just have a guitar track, and the input is my analog from my audio interface. That's where I just plug in. And I thought I could just feed the MIDI in, but for some reason you have to do it on a separate track. I'm not too sure why. But you can see here my input, I've just selected that loop MIDI. And then all I did was I'm just do that, drag that one over there to send the information. I just did, whoops, doesn't matter, I'm going to disable that. So no audio, and then I just send all the MIDI going across. I've already got that set up. So yeah, I just removed that because I already had the connection set up, but you can just see, you can see those MIDI events firing off. Another good sign that everything's pretty much working. And then yeah, you just pull up your, favorite amp sim or whatever you're using. You can go into the MIDI. If they don't have a MIDI, you can do this stuff external inside the DAW, but that's just like hyper-focusing on hyper-focusing. Hopefully it's a quality amp sim or whatever piece of software you're using, and it can just default accept MIDI commands, and then you can just map things out this way. This should pretty much cover you for most situations. So yeah, that's a quick look at the M-Vave chocolate MIDI controller here, and it's so crazy. I just never connected the dots. I saw people using this stuff for a lot of modeling units just to add buttons. I never thought about the wireless MIDI over Bluetooth that I could be using inside my DAW and just for standalone apps. And when I want to just pick up the guitar and start practicing, sometimes I use standalone apps and I have those configured. Other times I already have a session open in the DAW. It's configured there to use. And it really is just this nice little thing. And this thing is just so small and so light that it really just like tucks away on the side of my desk. It takes up no footprint. I can just turn it on, put it on the ground, start playing. I think they quote about 12-hour battery life. Let's be real, even if you're pulling 6 to 8 hours out of this thing, that's amazing. Super cheap stuff, and it's rock solid. It works. I'm not gigging or taking it on the road. It's kind of just around here in this room, and yeah, really held up. No massive complaints with it or anything so far. I know I keep praising the size, cost, and just all the benefits of this thing. Look at what I was using before every now and then. Look at this absolute tank of a thing compared to that. I know it's only 4 switches versus this guy with all the different expression pedals, but this thing weighs an absolute tank, and I had to have MIDI cables going up and down. This thing is completely wireless, so man, if you're using like other MIDI controllers and you want to add some stuff, just get one of these. They're so cheap. Just throw them around. They're great stuff. So yeah, if you own one of these and have any cool little tips and tricks, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, super awesome stuff. Highly recommend. Loving it. I've been practicing some riffs for an upcoming video. So as always, if you stuck around to the end of the video, you're a legend. I'll catch you guys on the next one.